Hello, hello. Hey, Dennis, how you doing?
Doing good. How are
Good,
you?
good, good. I'm good, man. Good, bright and early morning for me. So I'm happy. I'm ready to start my beautiful day, and it's a good way to start it. I tell you what, I was excited when I heard you coming to the Eagles. I was like, let's go.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, no, most definitely, most definitely. I'm definitely glad to see, the market moving, everything moving. Obviously I'm in the United States, so Donald Trump winning had me, on the next level yesterday. I was kind of celebrating like all day. Me and my family went out and we just had a great day. It was just one of those days that you're really
Nice.
optimistic for your future. Your crypto, the whole market moved. Like stock markets were moving. I was like, as soon as it happened, I woke up and I was like, I'm gonna check the crypto market. Coin market cap up. I saw Bitcoin, even Ethereum moving. I was just like, it's just going to be an exciting week, exciting couple months. And then, you obviously you guys coming here. We got Julian in the or Julia in the audience there too. Good to see you too. So yeah, no, most definitely, I'm super excited. We'll just give it a minute or two, let people kind of join in, and then we'll be kicking started here in just a minute. Oh, but yeah, no, I was just super excited today, full of energy. I think I slept real well, and then obviously a lot of good news yesterday. It's just real beautiful start of the week, I'd say, or it was kind of like from Monday all the way to Wednesday. Everything just good news. So I can't wait to finish the week out with more good news. All right. Well, let's start kicking things off. I don't want to waste too much time. We have a lot to break up and dive into today. Obviously, a lot of people know a lot about what you guys are doing, but you guys are constantly growing and scaling even faster than I'm able to keep up with. So I can't wait to dive into today and cover up on some stuff that we haven't seen in a while and how much it's grown and scaled, from the beginning, early days. So I'm just super glad, excited to have you here, Dennis. So with that being said, Crypto Eagles, hello everyone. I'm excited to introduce obviously Blocksquare. A lot of you guys know that, but if you know, it's a revolutionary platform that bridges the gap between traditional finance, mainly the real estate industry, with the decentralized world, allowing for new opportunities and investments, and actually access to that kind of golden era of assets. I think I would say, and that's the real estate industry. It's constantly growing, it's constantly scaling, and this is just a new breath of an opportunity for you to be able to have it within your portfolio without having to go through the mess of paperwork, and a lot of the regulations that you would have to deal with in the Web 2 kind of real world markets. So I'm just really excited to have him here. Imagine owning obviously a piece of commercial real estate, in a metropolis, and but living in a whole different country and without having to deal with all that, like I was saying, paperwork and regulation. So that's the power of the real estate tokenization. Blocksquare is at the forefront of this innovation. I'm a huge fan. I've been following them, working with them alongside as they grow and scale. And so I'm super excited to have him here with us at our community, kind of just breaking down, a lot of the ins and outs of the real estate asset industry with tokenization and everything they're doing in the background. Huge ecosystem. So I will definitely encourage everybody here now to follow along, with their website, with all the different products that they have available. We'll be talking alongside, alongside as you go ahead and do your research. But I wanted to make sure that you are up to date with everything. So make sure you're following them, you're turning notifications on. And I'm serious, they're constantly launching new products, constantly growing and scaling the ecosystem and bringing new innovative value to the RWA space. I'm serious. I'm not just highlighting them because I love them, just because I'm friends with them. But if you actually take the time, check out their ecosystem and what they've been doing 6 to 8 months, it's been really exciting. And it's actually really cool to see what they've been able to do, even with the kind of flip flop market that we've had. So it's just super exciting to have you here to be able to break down a lot of this stuff. And I will definitely say this is not just for newbies. A lot of seasoned vet investors can get in and really see some really good advantages. But also, it's not just for the advanced. Any user that is able to connect like they normally do to any other product can get in there and start utilizing their utilities and what products they have at their hands, so that you can then see if you can add some value to your portfolio. So I know it's a long, huge intro, but I'm just super excited to jump into it. That intro didn't even give them nearly the justice as they could normally have. But that being said, Dennis, let's go ahead and give us a little intro from yourself, your role obviously over there at Blocksquare, and give us a high level overview of what Blocksquare is and doing in the crypto scene.
First of all, Manuel, thanks so much for hosting this AMA. Really excited to be here. We've been, collaborating for quite some time, but this is the first time actually, directly presenting to your community. So really glad to be here. Thank you for the opportunity. For those who don't follow Block, my name is Denis, and I'm the CEO and the co-founder of the company. We started back in 2018 officially, three co-founders. Today we're somewhere between 35, 40 people in the company. This is kind of has grown in the last 2 years, especially as RWA kind of became a thing. When we started, there was definitely no hype around it, but we, through a certain, blockchain lab process, let's say, we found this recipe of how to transfer the value of a single real estate asset on chain. And we thought that might be really powerful. Fast forward to today, we've tokenized more than 130 million worth of real estate assets in more than 20 countries around the world. We're working with top tier legal consulting companies like CMS, Law and Tax to bring this real estate value on chain. And the real core mission we are having, we get asked a lot of times is, and I keep repeating it, we're here to make it really easy for Web3 to access the value of real estate assets in a safe and compliant way. A lot of times people think that we're here to bring Web3 technology to the traditional market, which in one way might be true, but what the Web3 ecosystem as such really misses is a direct connection to real estate, which is the largest asset class in the world. And it's also one of the most regulated and toughest to effectively bring on chain. And the way we've been doing it, we have been proving again and again that this is possible. And this is not just a test run, but it's actually the future.
Yeah, no, and I definitely agree there. It definitely was a no-brainer that real estate needed to be part of the asset class on the blockchain, but it was about facilitating the technology and the infrastructure that will allow it to, I would say, be accepted on a more global regulatory stance, because it's definitely a headache trying to figure out how a lot of these real world assets, at least for a lot of other projects, can make realized value. But definitely, I remember having a conversation with you a long time ago about what you guys were building before it was coined even a term, and that right there just shows the strength and value that you guys have been bringing, from Blocksquare to the blockchain. But it also, in turn, just shows the strength that the blockchain actually has for these asset classes, because before it was a thing, you guys saw it, you envisioned it, you're like, this could be the next big thing for crypto. And then along the way, within about 2 or 3 years of you building it out, all of a sudden we coined a term, and you're like, that's fine with me, because it's only going to help grow your guys' ecosystem. And I remember people were talking about RWA as just like another fad word that was going to fade away, another trend. People were realizing big players around were building the real infrastructure that allowed these countries to be able to allow, on the regulatory side, these other property owners to be able to realize this new value. Just in turn, not only brought huge value for a lot of these countries and a lot of these people that hold land or real estate property, but it also just strengthened the overall value of the blockchain. And like I was saying earlier, in multiple spaces before, I think that RWAs is going to be the major support factor of our bear runs as we go and transition out of a bull run and investment kind of winds down. The RWA ecosystem isn't dependent on blockchain to continue its value, because real estate has an inherent growing value that just, no matter how the world's markets go, real estate constantly goes up. And I think that right there is what's going to hold up the market and help grow and actually bring new types of opportunity to blockchain. So definitely love what you guys are doing over there. I know that was another side-winded comment that went for a minute, but it's the huge value that you guys are bringing to the table is there. And I want to make sure people here understand it and our opportunity within it. So, well, that being said, I know there's a lot that you guys do over there, and kind of break down a little bit, of some of the how you guys function with the RWAs and how it works with the tokenization process and even some of the fractional ownership. So let's dive a little bit in that. Can you elaborate a little bit on how the technical process for somebody that is trying to tokenize something on your platform?
Sure thing. From a technical perspective, it's pretty kind of easy. You create a smart contract, and then you transfer the value of a real estate asset onto the tokens of that are managed through that smart contract. But this is like a very diluted, simplified version of it. In essence, it's way more complex, the whole process. So first of all, when you create a token, you need to have certain regulation in place, or a certain regulation understanding. Anti-money laundering is today a standard in most countries around the world, which means that you are bound to, whenever it comes to real world assets, you do need to have a certain traceability of the funds or the money flow, which means you need to create a KYC process before allowing anyone to interact with a certain token at any point in time during its life cycle. So this is one part that we've solved. The other part is you still want to have, even though it's kind of gated, right? You still want to have on the other end the ability to place these tokens across the board, gain liquidity on secondary markets, because that's the power of tokenization, right? And you need to then look at how you transfer the value of that real estate asset to tokens. And this part is the crucial component of creating something that is viable and that makes sense to the market versus creating something that maybe seems like the straightforward way of doing it, but it doesn't get you anywhere. We've championed something that is called the tokenization of economic rights. And understanding economic rights, you need to understand what your rights are when you own real estate. When you purchase a real estate property, whether that's a piece of land, a real estate property like a house that's built on a piece of land, or a unit in a multi-residential building, or an office space, or whatever is built on land in the end, you get title as the owner. And that title gives you something called, in some jurisdictions, freehold. It means that you get a bundle of rights by having, your name attached to the title. And that bundle of rights is enforced by the jurisdiction, the country, the government, basically, that has jurisdiction over that piece of land. And in essence, that bundle of rights comes down to the right to use it, the right to change it. So, internally, externally, there might be limitations to what you can build on a piece of land. The right to lease it out, the right to resell it. Now, when you are leasing it out, it's something common. Everyone, in this planet is either renting or leasing or both. Because we need to live somewhere, right? So we all have the experience of what it means to either obtain or give away the right of usage. So this is one part that is usually monetized. And this is one component of the economic rights. Then you have the other component, which is the resale price. You bought it at 100 and you're selling it at 110, or you might be selling it at 90. So you're doing it at a loss. It depends how markets move around and what people are willing to pay for a certain type of real estate property. Now, when you bundle those together and you put them under a token, this is tokenized economic rights. And this is something that Blocksquare has been really championing on the market and has actually brought this for the first time to Web3. You might see other projects doing it. It's probably copycatting what we are doing. Now, this is great, and it gives you certainty, comes to a jurisdiction where you have a good legal system, and people are afraid to go to court. But you have many places around the world where this is not the case. The legal systems are not robust enough. And for that reason, and as well for the reason of making it even safer, we have mastered another part, which is quite crucial when it comes to legally structuring a tokenization, is the notarization process. This, in essence, what it achieves is that just as banks, when you go and borrow money against your property at a bank, which is called a mortgage in common terms, you give rights over your property to the lender. And the lender, most times in traditional finance, it's a bank, right? And so they put a charge on your property. And if you're not meeting the expectations of the lender, so repaying the mortgage under the terms, you basically might get foreclosed on the property, which means you might lose your right to use it, and as well, in some cases, or in most cases, the economic right of the value you bought up until that point. So with the notarization process, what we are doing is we're creating a similar arrangement as a bank has towards a property owner. But the difference is that we are lending tokens of the property itself. And through that process, we have achieved a way of tokenizing real estate value that doesn't categorize the end product, the tokens, as securities under European regulation. I think this is huge because it allows these tokens to be present in different secondary markets. It allows a very easy way of issuing tokens and tokenizing real estate. It means that it can be applied to any type of real estate asset there is. And the size of the value of the real estate property doesn't need to be in the tens of millions, but it could be your house. Now, on a technical level, as I said, it's quite simple. The complex part is finding the regulatory framework that works everywhere in the world, that doesn't touch securities laws directly, or at least it leaves a lot of debate around it, so that new regulation can come into those jurisdictions that don't have a clear definition of what this is. And that at the same time, it utilizes the strengths of the blockchain, not tries to put an established legal framework on and utilize blockchain, and then in the end, you get no liquidity at all. Like, for example, tokenizing shares of companies.
I tell you, that was a lot of really great information, that even stuff that I didn't even know in the background what you guys have been doing. Like, I've been working and collaborating with you on the side and been a part of your ecosystem for a while, but just really kind of getting an understanding and breakdown of the process and all the hard work you guys are doing. It obviously is produced a lot. And I mean, you just made an announcement where you just smashed through another milestone. I just seen on your Twitter, so I linked it at the top so people can get a little bit more information on how much you guys have been working and scaling. Even, you know, I would say in that September down market, you guys were definitely still scaling and growing at a great steady pace. And I mean, it shows for it. You guys are built an infrastructure in the background that's facilitating real growth. And like you're saying, I think that being able to not be infringing on the European laws when it comes to securities, I think is a huge win for you guys. Obviously, that is probably one of the most important driving factors allowing you to be able to scale, especially across the European Union. I think that's a huge, just overall win for investors and community members, and just access to probably some really nice real estate, the coming on chain. So that's pretty exciting. And now that we kind of understand the actual tokenization process, moving over a little bit over to the fraction, let's elaborate a little bit on that, and how does one kind of start joining in and start purchasing some of these fractional ownership and start adding to their portfolio?
Well, here when it comes to fractional ownership, and you can assume it, just like Markham sometimes makes this analogy. So when he was he's a real estate investor, and he's a COO of Blocksquare, but his thinking was always, well, how is it possible for somebody to be able to have a fractional ownership of Apple, which is one of the largest enterprises in the world, but you cannot have a fractional ownership easily of a 10 million commercial real estate asset downtown? How is that possible, right? So fractional ownership, in essence, is allowing you to access a much larger asset than you would be able to access traditionally. That's the whole point of tokenization. Giving access to real estate as an asset class to anyone with an internet connection. That's the narrative.
So in essence, it's like almost like stock marketing the house like a company would, right? Like, you're allowing it to be, instead of a single ownership or like a few owners, a mass amount of owners that can own a fraction of it and still benefit from the overall value.
Exactly. But the thing is, if this would be possible, by current regulation or by the securitization process, that would already be done. However, the securitization process is too expensive to do it on a single property. You can do it on a bunch of properties, but that needs to be in the hundreds of millions. And this is something actually which are called, as people know them, REITs, Real Estate Investment Trust, which is a big portfolio of assets managed by a big team, and you're able to buy stock of the company that holds it on the stock exchange. So this kind of fractional ownership of portfolios is already there somewhere. Is it efficient? Go and check for yourself how well do these REITs earn and return, right? But what we see is that with tokenization, you can really go directly on the asset level, on the single asset level. You could buy a fraction of an Airbnb downtown. You could buy a fraction of a shopping mall you go to every weekend, right? So this is something that is creating new ways of connecting with real estate assets that we utilize on a daily basis, or it can really help facilitate you be able to invest in Tokyo's real estate. Today, the probability of you doing this is very unlikely. It's very low. But with tokenization, this becomes instantly possible.
Yeah, you can have access where you're at. No, definitely agree with that. And I think a big win is that it clears up all of the middleman garbage, right? Because like you're saying, if I went with the traditional way, I'm earning maybe something, but a lot of it I have to pay through their earnings in the background, right? So instead of getting the direct percentage of what the asset's value is coming down, trickling to me, I have to make sure that everybody in the middleman gets trickled in before I get my trickle in. I think that, with how you guys set it up, you not only have access to plethora of any level of valued objects or assets, but then allowing anybody to be able to invest and get the full value of what their asset investment is, versus a lot of those other companies where you have to make sure all these other people get paid. And so your percentages of earnings are going to be lower overall. But I think that that's just a huge win, obviously, for Blocksquare. Because as you guys continue to grow and scale, that inherent value alone is going to be a big win, because of the fact that it is the paperwork, the regulation, all the things that these other companies have to do. You're in essence paying them to do it, and so cutting all that middleman is something that I think blockchain technology has been kind of like a hand in helping a lot of people understand that you can do all the things the banks do and make money and earn value without having somebody sitting there getting paid to do it for you. You just got to learn it. It takes a little bit of time, but I definitely say you guys have built an entire ecosystem that is very user friendly. I mean, for how professional it is, if anybody's taking the time to go to the website, it's a beautiful white website with light colors, but it's really professional looking, but easy to navigate. All the information is there. So I definitely do encourage people that haven't to at least jump in, follow their Twitter, join the discussion in the Telegram or Discord, and make sure you're on their website, the product, understanding their ecosystem. I always encourage people that have never really got into RWAs, at least start with people that have built an entire infrastructure that's mature, so that you can get a good understanding of the value, what is available there. And then if you want to dip your toes more into other ecosystems, that's fine. But if you do, they also have a great marketplace where they're launching products in the RWA space that, I mean, some huge projects out there right now that are making waves out there. So if you're not up to date with what RWA is all about, or what's going on in that space, Blocksquare is a place to start. I guarantee you will not have a bad time, and you will be educated extremely about what's going on in the markets and how that you can participate in what's coming up. So I just want to make sure I highlighted that before we moved on. And
I wanted to,
what's up, bud?
I wanted just to add here one thing. A lot of times people think, okay, Blocksquare is a marketplace, and here I just wanted to point out that yes, through Ocean Point we are utilizing our own software, but the main scope of Blocksquare is here to approach the market as the kind of infrastructure provider. If you look at e-commerce, how it grew, right? You have Shopify, for instance, and WooCommerce and whatnot, right? You have some of those providers make it really easy for anyone to set up an online shop. Then you have Stripe, which kind of helps you out setting up online payments. Now, Blocksquare is at the intersection of those two. We help any company to really fast come to market with a product that's so advanced and enables them to offer tokenized real estate in a couple of weeks. And this approach for us is because real estate as an asset class is really fragmented around. So it's localized. It's really hard to create one marketplace that will rule them all, right? But here with our approach, what we're doing is we're building tools for other companies to succeed. And those companies have teams, and those teams have certain edge on a certain market. We have teams from all around the world building on our infrastructure and bringing their product, their real estate assets, their real estate deals onto their communities. And connecting them through tokenization in an easy way, by allowing people to invest, from, the comfort of their home into real estate assets. Now, I think this approach clears up, or this maybe clears up a bit on, the background of Blocksquare and what its scope is. We can enter any market with any partnership or with any company that comes into partnership with us. And what we built is a launchpad for these companies to really easily go to market and find the certain, the initial traction, and be able to kind of utilize our community of investors as, the starting point. We've had companies from Mexico, from Europe, from I believe the US, Canada. So, many marketplaces that are now part of our ecosystem, but it's just a drop in the ocean. Real estate is the largest asset class, and now we've tokenized only 130 million worth of real estate assets, which is nothing. And we have only, 13 marketplaces active on our infrastructure now. So with each marketplace, the chances of more and more real estate assets coming to the infrastructure is just getting greater and greater. That's just something I wanted to add up here.
No, I'm definitely glad you did, because I kind of said something in what I was saying, and so I'm glad you kind of picked that up and kind of ran with it. Because yeah, like I was saying, you guys have definitely done a lot to enhance and grow and produce some really great utilities in the market through your partnerships. And I know, obviously, like I was saying, through our collaboration, I've met a lot of the teams that have come out of Blocksquare. Well, a couple of them I didn't even know were coming out from you guys until after they were released, and I was already in early on them, finding out information about them, because I was just really in depth into the RWA space. And then I'm also fans of, like, some of the other ecosystems in the Coinbase and stuff. So, but yeah, no, there's been some huge, and don't take my word for it. You don't even take Denis's word for it. Go do your research to check it out. These are actual blue chip style companies that they've helped bring to market because they're innovative. They got really great backing. They got strong teams. They're a really great business model that are bringing value that you would not expect to the chain in a whole different way. There was just so much of that was coming out over, I think, the last 6 months in the RW space. But if you are kind of lost in that space and you want to find I'd say a good starting point, go check out Blocksquare's launchpad of products that they've launched already, the partnerships, and the ones that are up and coming, because you guys have been like picking it up, right? In the beginning, it was like, pick and choose, make sure you got the right product. But then as you guys continue to grow and scale, some really great bullish products started coming to you guys, and you guys are launching really cool stuff, and you guys are keeping pace with really bringing value to the ecosystem without making it feel like you guys are making it oversaturated, if that makes sense. It's just, you guys have been killing it overall. I mean, my excitement, it can only translate so much. So like I said, I encourage everybody to at least do their due diligence, go check them out. There's huge value in what they're doing. And that right there alone, I forgot to mention, is huge value, because not only are you able to launch products yourself or people utilize your ecosystem, but then other companies that see the value of the blockchain industry, but R&D costs so much money. A lot of people don't realize a lot of these big companies want to come to the blockchain, but they don't want to spend $50 million building out an infrastructure or all of that they need in order to facilitate what they're doing. They're going to look for good products out there, or good companies or teams to partner up with to utilize their technology for their ground floor. And I think that is a huge win for you guys. And I agree that that's what's going to help scale you guys, obviously, as everything keeps going, because we all know blockchain's getting more exciting. I was just talking with somebody, my friend's mother. She's like 65, and she has 10 Bitcoin that she's had for like 10 years. I didn't even know. And she's like, yeah, I've just been holding it. And it's just really see that right now they're starting to talk about it, because even the influx of the market, it being at 70,000, that lady, she's set right there with her 10 Bitcoin. She's good. But ultimately, I want her to be able to utilize her house or to utilize her property, to tokenize. And I was talking to her a lot about the value of blockchain. And then what you guys are building here is just one huge linchpin to the growth of what the ecosystem really has to offer. And so I just kind of highlighting that there a little extra. And I want to encourage people that make sure that they are paying attention to what you guys are doing. They got the notifications on. And if not, to at least start doing their research into what you guys are doing, because it's pretty exciting. And with that being said, let's kind of talk into what All right, I am back. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. You there, Dennis?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, right in the middle. I got cut off right in the middle of that. I think this is gonna be the best part for everybody to get as a takeaway of today, if anything. As my next couple of questions is kind of the most important part for investors and community members to hear about. And it's like, nope, cut you off. Elon's all, I had enough hearing you. So it looks like everybody's starting to jump in. We'll just give it a few seconds and then we'll just jump right back into it because that was already a couple minutes wasted and there was just so much to talk about. I don't want to feel like we're rushing. All right. Well, welcome back, everybody. Sorry about that little rug that happened there, but it seems like we're right back to going. I don't want to waste any time, so I want to kind of move into what I was saying. I think the more important part of what people are here listening to and kind of want to understand, and that's the BTS or BST token, and a little bit about what you guys, the use cases for it, and some of the ways that the investors now can really see the value behind it. And then we'll move over to a little bit of understanding your guys' Ocean Point liquidity protocol. But we'll first start with the BST token, and then we'll jump into what more you can do with it even deeper.
Sure. You want me to go for it?
Yeah. Go ahead and give
sure.
us the kind of a breakdown of the BST token and its use cases.
Sure thing. So BST is, a utility token. It has a very, simple tokenomics back from 2018, 100 million max supply. Currently, we're something about 50 million, I think 53 million plus tokens that have been brought into circulation. There's an inflation rate of 500,000 per month, and it's used to reward people to participate in various pools available on oceanpoint.fi. Those pools kind of are there to incentivize certain providers of value to the ecosystem, from liquidity providers to governance and from governance to be able to participate in the launch pads, kind of directing which projects should receive access to the infrastructure, and last but not least, creating a kind of a DeFi booster on the earnings you get when you invest in tokenized real estate. Because let's be honest, tokenized real estate is going to return you something between 5, 6, maybe 7%. That's kind of the returns you see in real estate, plus any asset appreciation, which might happen or not, right? There's a lot of factors there. But when it comes to recurring revenues, that's kind of the benchmark there. And by being able to buy tokenized real estate and staking it on Ocean Point, what you're doing is you're switching between these traditional returns you get in a stablecoin versus boosted returns you get in BST. And this is kind of a strategy we have put in place to grow our ecosystem and has been kind of quite successful so far. And obviously it's not sustainable until forever, but this is something that we have planned with that 500,000 per month that is being distributed up until somewhere 2028. After that year, these rewards will dry up, and it means that the protocol needs to be able to buy these reward tokens from the market. And these buybacks will happen if there's enough economic activity around BST. And that economic activity is trading of real estate assets, so tokenized real estate, distribution of revenues for those real estate assets, and so forth. And so we see that this is a feasible kind of time frame for us to achieve it. There is certain contingency plans that can be placed after governance, like decreasing the monthly distribution amount. If you halve it, you obviously extend the runway for this. On the other end, the markets might move faster than we thought or that we predicted, and that we're gonna achieve economic sustainability for the protocol much faster. We don't know. So this is all speculation. But in essence, what you get with BST, you get on one side a direct attachment to the economic activity of tokenized real estate. We believe that Blocksquare can capture a significant amount of this market share of market share here. And on the other end, on the picks and shovels strategy, which is the software licensing. After all, we're an infrastructure provider, and this license to utilize the system has been tokenized. So whoever holds BST is basically holding a fractional portion of this licensing rights that are required to run on our infrastructure.
See, guys, I'm telling you, if you're not following Dennis Even for just the Blocksquare side of things. But if you're not just following him right there, make sure you're clicking on and following him, and you pay attention. This guy's very smart, knows what they're talking about. They build some really cool stuff. I love the way that whole model kind of feeds itself, but then sustains its ecosystem. And I think early on, it does. Like in my eyes, what it does is it allows for a stable market, great entry, so people can come in, utilize the ecosystem, understand it without feeling like their investment needs to be heavy. But in turn, allows them to kind of get a glimpse of the passive income, but then in turn go even deeper to support the network, support the ecosystem. Which in turn, as you get more support, your ecosystem grows, which then in turn grows the value of the token. And then in turn, later on, like I was saying, as you guys go to buy back in it to reward, that's going to be another driving factor that just feeds the beast of the ecosystem that continually grows, the overall value. And it's in my eyes, it's going to show a lot less of a negative turn, regardless of the chart, because of the fact that you're not only buying those to reward, but those that get it see the inherent value of it, and they're not going to want to sell because they're going to wait for that another big buy, and reward that is constant. And so it just shows strength to the overall chart, but then it kind of gives a little bit of risk management, to the investors and those that support for the long run. So I love it, and I definitely agree. Any staking platform that is fed through the ecosystem isn't sustainable. But as you guys grow and your assets class grow and your ecosystem grows and more products utilize your guys' ecosystem, there'll be a point where the staking will be less of a value for people, and there'll be more value actually utilizing the fractional ownership and trading. And so definitely love what you guys have been doing over there. And it definitely a testament to the hard work you guys have been doing, because like if anybody's paying attention and they have done their research, you can just see it's very professional, but it also brings you real value. And a lot of times, the more professional and more regulated and straight to the kind of books when it comes to a project, the inherent value is hard to find because they're squeezed out by what they can do. But I just love what you guys are doing out there. You guys are definitely leaving no stone unturned. God, can I speak? With what you guys are doing with your ecosystem. So definitely love it. And kind of understanding the Oceanport liquidity protocol and how it helps, I think is a huge win. So those that are interested, make sure you guys are checking them out, doing your research. Obviously there's a lot that you can do with that. But I think another important thing we should talk about are some of the upcoming projects that you have. We talked a little bit about the things you've launched and the partnerships and how you've helped facilitate some of these really innovative projects come to market, accelerated if at all, come to market and bring value to the RWA space. But I'd love to kind of touch on some of the things you guys are working with now, or that you've announced. I don't need any super alpha. Appreciate alpha, but we don't need, you don't have to talk about stuff you're not supposed to. But I would just love to get a kind of idea of what you guys are preparing to launch here soon.
One of the things that's more in the front row, right, let's say, people have been following quite closely is our launchpad. There they can see projects launching their marketplaces where they intend to present a certain edge on the market that they have. We are now, I think, on a sale with the team from Panama, tokenizing real estate assets in Panama. So I think this is a market that might be quite interesting, so for some investors to look into, and that many have not been able to tap into previously. But we have upcoming projects that have been confirmed for the launchpad. I believe here we have a project from Canada, from Toronto, where they are bringing tackling the social housing financing part quite heavily, and they have already the first deal on the table ready for tokenization after they successfully kind of launch their marketplace with us through this launchpad campaign that's upcoming, should be in the next couple of weeks going live. Then there's a project led by a German-based team, kind of focusing on a global scale, which is called Net Zero RWA, and this is something that we'll be talking about in the future. But the interesting part is that these guys are really after building huge projects that have a net zero impact on Earth in a way, and so it's building for good in a way, in this ESG kind of fashion, and I think this is quite exciting because it's something that is trending in the traditional finance and investment sphere, obviously, but it's something that we need to focus as a race, and on a global scale. And definitely these guys can bring very interesting project onto our infrastructure, and with that they have really strong, traditional financing partners. From the perspective of Blocksquare, what I can share with you guys is that we have been investing heavily in setting up a new legal entity for the purpose of commercializing the notarization process across the board. I will go into details, but what this will allow us is basically to commercialize and be able to notarize most real estate assets that we've tokenized so far. This means that we can finally have a way that can really safely bring real estate assets for the mass to buy into, whether that's retail investors or even more institutional professional investors who are looking to diversify their portfolios into real estate, but maybe are looking to do that in the Web3 space instead, because Web3 has seen a lot of investment programs, investment schemes, investment tokens in the end that have not been sustainable. Real estate is one of those that is sustainable, and I believe it's going to be one of the strongest performing assets in the next bear market. I know I'm talking about a bear market here when we're just entering a bull one, but still, I think it's important to look at the longevity of investments and how people kind of shift liquidity towards different products. And here we are really working towards bringing this mass in a very safe way. Another thing that we are working towards on Ocean Point is, as those who follow us, they know that Ocean Point's main purpose is to be built out into a true liquidity engine for our ecosystem. What does this mean for an end user? It means that once this is built out, you will be able to buy tokenized real estate and sell it instantly. So you won't need to rely always on the availability on secondary markets, but you'll be able to transact with a protocol instead. And I think this is quite powerful because it enables a lot of different use cases that are not present right now, like collateralized loans collateralized with tokenized real estate, for instance. This is something you cannot do right now, but when Ocean Point has been built out fully into this liquidity engine, those use cases will become possible. So this is something that we have now come to a certain stage of structuring the protocol and finding solutions on certain things that were still, not solely in terms of risk. We've fully mitigated certain risks there, and now are in a stage where we're, adjusting things, but just slightly. After that, we're gonna see probably a white paper come out on this liquidity engine, and after kind of social community validation internally, that and feedback, that will start being developed into the final product. So I think this is quite an exciting development that has been happening for the last year, and yeah, this is those two kind of most impactful things. Obviously, our team has been developing constantly. Soon you will see a new version of the marketplace platform, a totally redesigned UI, with much more data information, much more for the end user that you have currently. You're gonna see a totally new the app for Ocean Point that had been built from the ground up. So those things are also being developed, and we're coming to levels that I believe, or I hope, we are aspiring to become as easy to use as Uniswap instance when it comes to DeFi products.
Let's say more user friendly. I like Uniswap, but I remember my first couple of times using it, I was a little lost. No, I think that's really exciting, and that just shows the testament of the hard work you guys are doing in the background. You guys have been cooking in the background, really just producing really awesome utilities for the investors to utilize, but then also the outreach you have done for other projects and other teams to be able to come to market has been a huge win, and I think that win alone is going to continually drive and scale you guys further. And now, just for the sake of time, I will move over to like my last kind of question that I had, and this is kind of just a little pick of your brain, only because obviously you guys are doing a lot in the background, and it's just really impressive overall. And I like to make sure I highlight that. And I've been highlighting this every time it does come up, but today is definitely no short of it. I always tell you guys that you guys can find the best products, the best looking website, the best white papers, the best community, but overall the team is where the real meat of the project comes from, especially when it comes to something like an RWA platform with real utility. So make sure that you guys are paying attention to what Blocksquare is doing. This is a strong team, very innovative and hardworking team that are constantly producing real value in the ecosystem. So make sure you guys are following along. It is do your own research, not financial advice, but I always like to highlight that have been literally bringing value for months now in the ecosystem and continue to do so. That's just kind of them proving themselves into the market. And I think that they're a win, and I want to make sure you guys are a part of the winning team. So with that being said, what are some of your guys' plans on the global expansion? I know that you can only go so far and so fast, but what region have you not been able to get into that you guys are looking to get into, or just expand to outside of where you guys are already expanding?
Oh, that's a tough question. There's a lot. I mean, the world is big in a way, at least when it comes to real estate. There's a lot of regions where we have started discussions, but nothing really, is happening. And we are bound to, in a way, to the availability of our partners, who want to run marketplaces from, and focus on a specific region. So that's kind of mapping out where we are going. From a protocol perspective, below this, we are definitely focusing on the tokenization of real estate assets in Europe. We've done research on 14 jurisdictions and have clarity on 14 jurisdictions, including UK and the EU. Next from there, because we have quite a strong presence in Australia, I believe Australia is a focus for us for sure. And I think those three markets are our target in a way for us to champion really. Obviously, we're always eyeing as well the UAE, through partners and the Middle East, Africa, the US as well. But there, we're more reliant on our part doing a lot of heavy lifting than we are here in Europe, where our team is currently really, really focused on in terms, especially on the legal part of things. And this is usually the bottleneck is legal clarity. And in Europe, we have this legal clarity, and that's why I'm repeating myself here and about us focusing on Europe. But I think European real estate is real estate that's interesting on a global level, especially when you look at countries like France, Spain, the UK, Germany, and so forth.
I totally agree. And I think that there's plenty of room for you guys to expand all across Europe and all of the surrounding before to focus anywhere else. It's just kind of a pick a brain thing. And I like it. You're like, we don't want to extend ourselves, spread ourselves so thin. Let's focus on an area and let other projects come out in those areas and let us support them, because overall, we're all so early. And if we're all doing something in different regions, it's only going to open the access for other projects to see the proper roadmap that you guys have built. And then hopefully they then come reach out to you too. And then, more and more infrastructure is built out and value is just continually brought out. So like I said, the guys, if you're not understanding the little nuances of how he has been able to represent Blocksquare and what they're doing, that's what sets Denis apart, comparative to a lot of speakers out there. Very professional, always got great answers, and he knows what he's talking about. Very professional every time. It's always a pleasure. So with that being said, I'm gonna move over to closing statements. We're at the top of the hour, and I know you're busy, running a company, a big company out there in the blockchain. So I don't want to keep you up too long on this, but I want to extend a great sincere gratitude to the Blocksquare, to you, Denis, to Julia that was here, and to the Blocksquare account that was here. Please, everybody, make sure that in your time right now to turn those notifications on and you're following them, because like he said, Ocean Points can be getting redone with a huge amount of value. Projects are launching on them all the time. They have their own marketplace that has a huge plethora for you to be able to start adding to your portfolio. So make sure you guys are in there checking it out. And so ultimately, I want to thank you for obviously sharing your valuable insight, picking your brain for what you guys are doing with RWAs and the blockchain technology. By pioneering the tokenization of real estate and other assets, you are definitely going to be revolutionizing the entire landscape as we continue. Obviously, you have been doing it already, but I think the bull market really didn't set it up how much value you guys have and how strength you have. And like you even said, and I even said, we were talking about that bear market coming. You got to understand, bull market lasts what, 6 to 8 months, if you, a maximum, and then you have the rest of the 3.5 years or whatever, 3.25 years to really find those values and continue on making that opportunity within the blockchain. So as much as the bull is exciting, the bear is just here. So highlight that the strength of what you guys are building, I think, is going to be what helps us weather the next bear. And like the continued value, people are going to be parking their investment with you, because real estate value will continually go up regardless of what the crypto market's doing. So I definitely love what you guys are doing. So I encourage individuals here to get in there, start participating, start understanding the value that they bring, see what you can do to add to your portfolio. Obviously, it's not financial advice, but when you find really great products and you find a really great team, that's a win-win. You're crossing your T's and you're dotting your I's that way. So we're excited to witness your guys' growth. I mean, obviously, I pinned it earlier in that the first half of the AMA that we had of your guys' exciting growth, and you guys are always monthly pinning up your new growth, and it's exciting to see how far you guys have come. So with that being said, I appreciate everything, and go ahead with the closing statement before we close things out here. Just a farewell to the community and all.
Oh, thanks again for hosting. I know we had we've been cut in the middle, but hopefully those who wanted to join back have done so. I hope that we'll be able to kind of patch it together into maybe a recording for people who were not able to attend to also be able to listen after some time. I wanted to close, about something that I'm really kind of passionate about when it comes to building in Web3. It's all about it in the end. And I know this might be a phrase that people just keep on saying, but Blocksquare has been really, really investing in its community, because what we're building is a bit complex. And, some of those who managed to stay with us until the end have maybe realized throughout this conversation that there's a lot of things somebody needs to understand. And so there's a lot of education that needs to happen. And what we've done is we've put aside a quite interesting sum, a million BST, to put aside to finance something we call regional hubs. Go to oceanpoint.fi. You're going to be able to find more information there on regional hubs, how it works. But essentially, it promotes people from our community to apply as a
nearing the tokenization of real estate and other assets. You are definitely going to be revolutionizing the entire landscape as we continue. Obviously, you have been doing it already, but I think the bull market really didn't set it up how much value you guys have and how strength you have. And like you even said, and I even said, we were talking about that bear market coming. You got to understand, bull market lasts what, 6 to 8 months, if you, a maximum, and then you have the rest of the 3.5 years or whatever, 3.25 years to really find those values and continue on making that opportunity within the blockchain. So as much as the bull is exciting, the bear is just here. So highlight that the strength of what you guys are building, I think, is going to be what helps us weather the next bear. And like the continued value, people are going to be parking their investment with you, because real estate value will continually go up regardless of what the crypto market's doing. So I definitely love what you guys are doing. So I encourage individuals here to get in there, start participating, start understanding the value that they bring, see what you can do to add to your portfolio. Obviously, it's not financial advice, but when you find really great products and you find a really great team, that's a win-win. You're crossing your T's and you're dotting your I's that way. So we're excited to witness your guys' growth. I mean, obviously, I pinned it earlier in that the first half of the AMA that we had of your guys' exciting growth, and you guys are always monthly pinning up your new growth, and it's exciting to see how far you guys have come. So with that being said, I appreciate everything, and go ahead with the closing statement before we close things out here. Just a farewell to the community and all.
Oh, thanks again for hosting. I know we had we've been cut in the middle, but hopefully those who wanted to join back have done so. I hope that we'll be able to kind of patch it together into maybe a recording for people who were not able to attend to also be able to listen after some time. I wanted to close, about something that I'm really kind of passionate about when it comes to building in Web3. It's all about it in the end. And I know this might be a phrase that people just keep on saying, but Blocksquare has been really, really investing in its community, because what we're building is a bit complex. And, some of those who managed to stay with us until the end have maybe realized throughout this conversation that there's a lot of things somebody needs to understand. And so there's a lot of education that needs to happen. And what we've done is we've put aside a quite interesting sum, a million BST, to put aside to finance something we call regional hubs. Go to oceanpoint.fi. You're going to be able to find more information there on regional hubs, how it works. But essentially, it promotes people from our community to apply as ambassadors. Anybody who has a wish to become active in the RWA space can utilize this as a tool to kind of grow their local community. Through this regional hubs program, get financing, sponsorship in a way from Blocksquare, to be able to bring the conversation into their country, into their region. And we believe that, a Web3 community is just as strong as its weakest, member in a way. And here we want to really have an active community of people who have their own communities, because RWA is interactive with so many other things that happen in Web3. And it is important to have, evangelists, people who get it, who understand how, a product is structured, so that they are able to relay that to other people in the space. Bitcoin would never have existed without community, without people explaining how Bitcoin works to others. And although it might seem complex, in the end, it's a conversation that you can do in 5-10 minutes. Obviously, there's going to be follow-up questions. And that's why these regional hubs are there, so that these follow-up questions can then be discussed and debated in a local language, in a local environment, in a live meetup event. All those things are being incentivized and kind of sponsored through this 1 million BST. So I would leave it at that. The other part is conferences. We're always in some conferences around the world. There's almost no month where we're not present somewhere. This month, there's the DEF CON in Bangkok. So if you're from that part, if you have plans of going on some side events or main event, make sure that you can reach out to our team. There's going to be 2-3 people from our team running around there, and it's a good place to meet face to face. So with that said, thank you again to the Eagles for hosting the AMA.
Thank you for coming. Obviously, it takes two to tango, right? So I appreciate you coming here and highlighting Blocksquare to the community. I mean, some of them obviously know because they're very familiar faces, but there's a lot of people that still don't really understand RWAs or haven't really found a place where they can go and be a part of it and feel like there's actual value there, because the blockchain is very skeptical for a lot of people, even people that are veterans. So definitely glad you were able to come here, highlight everything that you guys are doing over there, or at least some of what you're doing. Definitely a lot more. We probably talk about Blocksquare for a whole nother hour and what you guys are doing. So definitely appreciate your time. And like I always say, if you have any other updates coming, please let us know so we can keep our community updated as soon as anything starts to happen, because obviously the value comes, like you're saying, with the community, and I want to make sure the value is in their hands first and foremost. So I appreciate your time. Thank you, and you have a great day over there, Denis. All right, bye-bye, everybody. Oh,
Bye-bye.
yeah, and Eagles,
Thank you.
Eagles, I love you guys. Sorry about the mistake, and I appreciate everything that you guys are doing, the support you guys are doing, and always, I like to say, stay safe in the space. I'm sorry, Denis, for cutting you off there, but I wanted to make sure I thanked them for returning after the little down that we had.
Oh, good. It was enjoyable. Yeah, thanks everybody for coming. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.